Hey, how's it going, everybody? Josh Marsden here, owner of CVO Acceleration Online Sales Funnels. So I bring you this video, this lesson today because I wanted to share with you some lessons that I've learned from growing up in the military as a military brat and also becoming a soldier myself when I was in the U.S. Army National Guard. So with that said, I've got several different lessons that I feel like that you, if you're watching this, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you can also take heed in, and you could probably apply as well to yourself, to your business, to your culture. So this way you can really cultivate the right performance out of your business from some of these traits that I feel like that I've learned from my time and also my experiences in the military. On top of that, today is actually my dad's birthday, August 9th. And so it's basically perfect for me to shoot this because he is the reason why I have any type of military influence in my background. You know, because I grew up a military brat. You know, he was in the military, and you know, we grew up all sorts of different places. You know, Frankfurt, Germany was where I was born. We traveled after that to Washington State, and then to Texas, and then to Colorado, and then back to Germany, and then to Texas again, and then finally he got out and I ended up in Arizona, which is where I'm at today. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. So, and growing up, you know, around a dad that was in the military, you know, he was always very kind of emotionless, very stoic, very disciplined, very focused, very intense. And honestly, he raised me to inherit some of those traits, and he kind of treated me like a soldier in some ways. And my mom wasn't too crazy about it, as you can imagine. But at the end of the day, there were some values there. There was definitely some value there in how he raised me, even if it wasn't always right necessarily. And with that said, here's the first thing. So the first thing was discipline. And you know, you've probably reflected on discipline in your life, in your business, with your team. And discipline's critical, in my opinion, as a business owner because, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, and it's very easy to take advantage of having flexibility, having time sometimes, and you have to really basically rubber band back to a disciplined core to be able to accomplish what you need to accomplish on a consistent basis in your business. Personal example here. So I'm also a single dad, and I pick up my son from school a few days a week at 3:30. And this is not after the end of my workday. This is actually kind of towards the tail end of my workday. So I still have work that I need to complete. And so what I have to do is after I pick him up, I have to come back, discipline myself to get back into the work mode, so this way I could finish out my work day and accomplish my objectives for that day. So that's an example. Or, you know, if something comes up towards the, you know, around, let's just say early evening, which cuts into my work day, because I usually close out around 6 or so, I have to essentially revisit that later. And so I may want to do something to unwind and relax, read a book, etc. But instead, I decided, you know what, I got to get back on my laptop. I still have stuff I need to complete, and that's where discipline comes in. So I definitely feel like that being raised by someone in the military that is now, you know, a 20-plus year veteran, and having that type of influence in my life growing up and then being in the military, that definitely helps me become fairly disciplined, you know, as a business leader in my business to make sure that I always go back to what I need to accomplish at all given times. So besides that, you know, I would say, you know, ownership is also something that I really practice and preach to my team, and especially to the leaders on my team. I'm not perfect with it because I'm a human being. I'm, you know, failable. I can fail quite a bit, but at the same time, I do try to always emphasize ownership in different facets of business. And, you know, I always reflect on what I could do better, and what did we do to impact that. So this way we're always looking at it from our perspective instead of just blaming and pointing the finger, which is not a good habit to be in. And I grew up with my dad very hard on me. You know, he was hard on me to make sure that I was never blaming things. I was never making excuses. And he was basically breeding in me taking ownership at all times. And I do appreciate that, you know. And at the time, I obviously didn't. I was a kid, and you know, he was just hard on me. But I get it now. I get why he was doing that. He was doing that because, you know, at the end of the day, your success or your failure is on you or you as a company. It's not on anything else. And yeah, there's outside factors that influence you, but they don't necessarily dictate that result. You do. And I really took heed in that. And I feel like that is something that has really parlayed into that ownership element that I feel I have, that I practice, and I also teach my team. So hopefully you get some value out of that as well, because ownership is critical to be able to create accountability in a business. If you can't create that sense of ownership and you can't put systems in place and communicate also that ownership, then it's really hard to create accountability in a business as well, which is honestly something that people have told me is a strength of mine, is being able to create accountability. You know, so besides that, another thing too is, so my dad used to always tell me that actions speak louder than words. And, you know, it really resonated with me growing up, because to me it was like, you know, I'd rather do something than talk about it. And you know, I don't fluff, you know, I don't create fluff. I don't create smoke screens typically when I communicate. I don't over communicate expectations. I'm very direct. And because I know that if I say I'm going to do something, then I need to be very specific with what it is that I'm doing, and I need to follow through with it, because actions speak louder. And I think that message that he, you know, portrayed with me growing up really helps us as a business in making sure that, you know, instead of us just coming up with ideas left and right, we're actually taking action. Instead of us just saying we're going to do something, we take action as opposed to just saying we're going to do something. And that's obviously very, very, it's, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say here is there's a lot of integrity in that. There's a lot of integrity in making sure that your actions are essentially how you're communicating who you are as a business and what you're going to do, who you are as a person and what you're going to do, and you know how you're going to be seen. So I feel like that's a very strong lesson as well that you can also get a lot of value out of, because truly actions speak louder than words, and actions equal results. So that's, you know, that's definitely something that is a virtue that I feel like that I've learned and from my time in the military and from my experience growing up with a military father, and something that I've tried to teach my team, you know, as well. And so besides that, I mean, courage, and this isn't something that, I mean, my dad, you know, he's a very, you know, courageous guy. I've seen him, you know, for example, this was after he was in the military, actually, I believe. At one point we were at like a river, I think it was Slide Rock Park or near Slide Rock Park, up in Sedona. And there was a guy that looked like he was kind of drowning, and my dad jumped in and basically saved him. And that was, you know, him being courageous. And just, you know, he didn't have to care about that guy, but he jumped in the water anyway and went out there and got him and helped him get to, you know, the side of the river. So this way, you know, he wasn't drowning. Whether he was drowning or not, he could have been just drunk. Who knows? I mean, I don't even know, you know, because I was young. But every soldier really exhibits courage, because for a soldier to go out there in any type of war time and, you know, a war environment, and to, you know, be able to put themselves at risk like that, that's courageous. I mean, you know, we owe a lot to the military for what we have today. You know, whether or not all the wars that we fought in have had good reasons behind them, either way, you know, the people that are soldiers, they go out there and bust their butts and put themselves at risk for us, so this way we can have the freedoms that we enjoy, or the protection that we enjoy here in America that other countries don't have. And so every soldier really exhibits that. When it comes to business, always doing the right thing. That's what really courageous actions come down to in businesses. Always really focusing on the right thing, and always checking yourself and making sure that you are doing the right thing. That's truly, in my opinion, being courageous at its core. So besides that, grit. Business isn't easy. I've been in business since early 2013, and it's required a lot of grit, and at times in highly stressful situations, and you really have to work through those, and you have to bunker down, so to speak, and get work done and put the extra time in and extra work in, and that's really showing grit in those stressful situations, in my opinion. And so that's something that you may find yourself in as a business owner or working in a business. If you're watching this, you may need to really ask yourself, am I showing enough grit right now? Am I working hard enough through this challenging, stressful situation? Am I putting in the time required, the commitment required to get through this? Because I can tell you that in my business experience, and I've only been in business for 4.5 years now, in my business experience, it does require a lot of grit to be able to get through some of those challenging situations in business. So hopefully you get some value out of that. And then process, this is massive, this is huge. So, you're never gonna be able to create a business for yourself. You're always just gonna create a job for yourself. And it may be a good job. You may, make 100,000 or more a year, which is okay, but you're never gonna be able to create an actual asset, a legacy, a business that you can do something with, whether it's sell it, whether it's step out of it, let someone else run it, whether it's let your family members, your children work in at some point in your life. You can't really create a business without having solid processes in place. And the business is extremely process driven. Everything is 110% documented to great detail. They have a strong emphasis on attention to detail, which is something that I've grown up around quite a bit, both with my dad and my mom. My mom is very meticulous when it comes to detail. Even as something as little as keeping the house clean. I always had a very extremely clean house growing up, and it's because my mom is somewhat OCD when it comes to that. But it just comes down to attention to detail. She was like that with academics as well. Being a valedictorian at a private school, again, that takes a lot of attention to detail when it comes to performing well in school. So the military does that. The military also does that. The military, really pushes you to really make sure that every small detail is done really, really well. Otherwise, it's not done at all. And so that basically kind of goes back to one of my personal mottos is go 110% or don't go at all. And so that comes down to attention to detail. That comes down to process. And that's why in our business, we've really emphasized dialing in our processes, documenting everything, having strong automation in place, having good funnels that work well, having strong processes that help us achieve a consistent result every time with our clients and a strong experience with every client. Because at the end of the day, we care very much about those two elements, the experience and the performance. And if we don't have strong performance in place to help us do that, then we're just hoping. And you can't hope in business. You have to have a predictable system, and a process is essentially the DNA behind that. And so process is huge in business. So if you haven't emphasized process, or if you need to get back to really emphasizing process in your business, do it, because it does make a difference in any business. Besides that, I would also say that prep work is huge. And prep work is huge actually in the nature of what we do, which is putting together profitable, scalable online sales funnels for companies. One of the key elements to being able to do that is prep work. And you have to research, you have to put the time into that. You can't just put something together and just put it out there and hope it works. That doesn't work. You have to research the market, research the competition, research that company, as far as like who their market is, what their message is, how they speak to that market, what draws that market to them, what their market cares about, things like that really create compelling marketing that performs well in the work that we do. So prep work is huge, and the military really emphasizes that. They have lots of preventive measures in place. You have to, this was a pain in the butt when I was in the military, but we had to do preventive maintenance quite a bit, where we had to prep our Humvees, we had to prep different processes, and we just had to make sure that everything was prepped and dialed in So this way, if we got the call, if we were performing like a process, everything was ready, and we didn't hit any problems, any challenges that were at the very, that were hopefully not unexpected, because we put so much work into the prep work. And in business, obviously putting prep work into something is critical and crucial. So with that said, I hope that you got tons of value out of, this, essentially this personal reflection on lessons that I've had in my life when it comes to the military's influence on my life growing up, especially with my dad. And happy birthday, Dad, if you're seeing this at some point. And then also my time in the military, because I served from 2001 to 2005, and I'm very proud of it. So also on top of that, I'd love for you to check out an article that was just published in the Huffington Post that was about how the military impacted me as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, in being able to create a successful digital marketing agency that provides great value to our clients. So check it out. Click on the link to the Huffington Post. It's a fairly short article, but it's definitely a good article that has some strong points that I know that you'll get some value out of. So check it out. Hey, thanks for watching our video here on YouTube. I really appreciate it. Go ahead and leave some comments below on what you thought about this video, and make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss any of our valuable posts. Typically, our posts are all designed around helping you get more leads and also get more sales from online marketing, so you definitely don't want to miss those. So go ahead, subscribe below, leave any comments you have, and I'll see you on the next video.